My name is Austin Hutchins, and I'm doing a persuasive speech on why kids should have limited time for phones and video games. Just in our lifetime, technology has advanced in a way that affects every aspect of our life. It has altered the way we travel, the way we communicate, how we use our spare time, and just how we live in general. Just as cell phones, games, and technology have changed how we live, it is currently changing how our kids are growing up. And to be honest, it's not for the best. In this day and age, it would be virtually impossible to rid children's lives from all technology because it surrounds us at every corner. What is possible for us is to prevent the current children and our future children from being consumed by it and displaying the negative effects that overexposure to technology causes. Today, I hope to persuade you to limit your child's access to technology. In this speech, I'll talk about 1, the reasons why kids have no use for a phone. 2, the reasons why time for video games should be extremely limited. And 3, what the effects of overuse look like when it's not controlled. First, let's take a look at cell phones and why they're not necessary for kids at all. Cell phones are a great way to communicate, but who does a child need to communicate with? Distant friends? People they meet walking down the street? The answer is nobody. A child has no true use for a cell phone. The only thing they want one for is because all of their friends have one and they want to fit in. They only want to text those same friends that they see every single day. The only people a young child would ever need to be in contact with is their parents if they're not with them for some reason. And there's about a 100% chance that either the babysitter or the teacher is going to have a phone that they can borrow. Young kids desire phones for the sole purpose of having apps such as Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. There's absolutely no reason for a child to be involved with those. The kids will say those apps are just a way for them to stay connected. Stay connected with who? The friends that they see in their class 5 days a week? They don't have anyone they need to stay connected with. Now that we've talked about the role phones play in kids' lives, we can now look at video games and why that time should be extremely limited. Video games can be extremely addicting. It isn't uncommon for kids to sit hours and hours staring at a TV. It can be perfect weather outside and they'll choose to play a video game 9 out of 10 times. There's nothing acceptable about letting that go on. Something has to be done. From the article, Video Game Addiction, No Fun, from WebMD.com, published in 2006, says, quote, "They become angry, violent, or depressed. If parents take away their computer, the child sits in the corner and cries, refuses to eat, sleep, or do anything," end quote. How is this healthy? Along with this addiction, they are obviously spending a lot of time sitting around without exercise, which usually will lead to unhealthy eating, and a lot of it at that. From the article, the effects of screen time on childhood obesity from Slate.com, published on April 13, 2012, says, quote, "They also spend more than an hour per day online and another hour on video games. These activities, collectively called screen time, are widely blamed for the tripling of obesity rates in children since the 1980s, end quote. There's absolutely no reason why a statistic like this should be true. Finally, after seeing the reasons why video games should be limited, we can now take a look at what some of the effects of video games and phone use can be if it goes unrestricted. As it has been said, kids desire phones so they can stay connected. But the fact is that if they are able to stay connected through the use of social media, they won't feel the need to ever talk face to face. They can simply text or just see pictures of each other through those social medias. From the article, The 10 Best and Worst Ways Social Media Impacts Education, from edudemic.com, published on July 11, 2011, says, quote, "The more time students spend on social sites, the less time they spend socializing in person," end quote. This same site later talks about how through social media, nonverbal cues, body language, and tone are never used, so they lose that effectiveness of face-to-face communication. This is a huge problem that is even evident in today's world. People simply can't communicate in person. They would rather text you than actually speak words. From the article, Video Game Addiction, Tied to Depression, Anxiety in Kids, published in January 17, 2011, from health.usnews.com says, quote, "Video game addiction among children and teens may lead to the development of psychological disorders such as depression," end quote. This fact is so sad. How can we allow kids to spend so much time playing video games that when we decide to take it away, they're depressed? From the webpage Media and Children from AAP.org, last updated October 21st, 2005, says, quote, "Studies have shown that excessive media use can lead to attention problems, school difficulties, sleep and eating disorders, and obesity. In addition, the internet and cell phones can provide platforms for illicit and risky behaviors," end quote. All of these are major problems that can have serious effects as kids grow up. These are major problems that we are completely capable of avoiding if we would simply step up and take action. In conclusion, there are so many negative effects to the overuse of video games and cell phones, and yet we do nothing to stop it from happening. Technology has made so many incredible advancements in the past 20 years that has changed how we live. With all of the technology around us, it's impossible to cut our kids off from it completely, but it is also possible to govern the amount of the availability to them. In this speech, we have covered the topics: 1, why children don't even need phones; 2, why the use of games should be extremely limited; and 3, what the negative effects and overuse of phones and video games can look like. Now, we all can clearly see how negative and hurtful to children overuse of phones and games can be in the long run. The question is, what will we do about it? Will we simply continue to allow kids to become addicted to games and become obese and lose all social skills simply because we can't step up and tell them no? I hope that from this you can all see that it's a serious matter that needs to be governed for the health of our children. Thank you.